at the National Assembly, a member of the People's Democratic Party, Chief Dan Nwayawu, a lawyer and a former national chairman of the Labour Party, giving insight into this scenario. Let's come back to the politics of what has happened today, Senator Urhoghide. The question would be, critics of this issue have been taking some things away from it. And one of the big questions is that it looks so much that the Senate brought this upon itself. There is a court case that Senator Urhoghide has taken on, and perhaps trying to stop his suspension, but the Senate went ahead to suspend him. Perhaps a lot of people would say this is a reaction to what has happened.
Now, thank you, Sheun. Let me say again, and most emphatically that what happened today, no doubt desecrated the sanctity, of the Hollow Chamber, the Senate. And, the action went further, to violate our constitutional provision, Section 60, specifically speaking, that the National Assembly, both houses, have the powers, to regulate its own procedure. So whatever has happened was within the prescribed procedure of doing business in the Senate. And of course, if we got people or we got intruders that came into the Senate in violation of Section 17.2 of the Senate Standing Orders, 2015 as amended, nobody can come into the Senate, even the President of the Senate, without the invitation of the Senate. And if that invitation is granted, that Section 17 has to be set aside for you to come through the corridors and go into the holy chambers. But today you could just see thugs move into the Senate, desecrated the sanctity, and those who know seem to be happy about this. As somebody walk into the office of Mr. President and, of course, disrupting the business of Mr. President, and all of us will be laughing at it to say, yes, to some extent it's right. So in all these ramifications, nothing is right. It violated our constitution, our constitutional provision, Section 60. It violated the Senate, Standing Orders 2015 as amended. So it has violated all the known rules. But let us even go further. If our dear colleague, Senator Urhoghide, had gone to court, of course we should have waited. Not the despicable action that were perpetrated by hoodlums today. If these people came from any segment of government, whether it is executive or whatever, they too should feel that, yes, this country, apart from all the pontificating that everybody's talking about in this country, this is one thing that has brought shame to this country. Can you imagine hoodlums carrying the mace and fighting through the aisle of the Senate and going out of the Senate like that? And you say a matter is in court. Even if you have respect for the courts, you have respect for the judiciary, to have made more sense to exercise patience for that matter to be decided, whether the Senate's decision to suspend Senator Urhoghide was right or wrong. Let the court, take its normal.
Senator Urhoghide, let me quickly put this out. Let me quickly put this question out. The federal government has ordered the probe of the National Assembly invasion. There is a statement from the Ministry of Information saying that the federal government is shocked at the invasion and that it has asked the security agencies to immediately unravel the circumstances surrounding the breach of security that led to the invasion. He went further to say that the security around the National Assembly complex would also be reinforced to prevent a reoccurrence. Quickly give us an insight to what has happened today before we quickly bring in Chief Nwayawu to this matter. Senator Urhoghide, a lot of people who have not been to the Senate, how secured is the Senate? I thought there are checks before. You cannot drive into the main gate. You have to go through, if you're not a member of the National Assembly or a staff, you cannot also get into the chamber because there are internal security of the National Assembly. So what do you think could have happened?
No doubt about that, that the security in the Senate was compromised today. No doubt about that. And no one, can deny the fact that, there was collusion for unknown persons, of course, as we have described them, hoodlums, to move into the Senate, passing all through the barriers from the main gates, all through to the middle gate, and then, of course, to the entrance of the Senate, and then, in fact, even the door that leads to the Senate. So you have 4 lines of security checks. And for all these ones to have been, torn down by these people, and they made straight entrance into the Senate with the sergeant at arms, all of them on duty. Because you could see that about 3 of them were injured, who are staffers, working with the sergeant at arms. I mean, for anybody to say that we have to provide security for ourselves, of course, the people that we have in the Senate, just like I said before, are policemen, and then, of course, men that work with the, with the DSS, Department of State Security. They are the ones that we have there. So if they stood aloof and they saw how it happened that, people came in and, of course, desecrated the sanctity, of an arm of government, then, of course, what it means is that there must have been some compromises, some collusion along the line.
Right.
But just like you said, that the Minister of Information and Culture already mentioned that federal government is going to swing into action. I think the issues that we develop hereafter will really show whether there's collusion or not from the executive government.
Senator